AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Welcome to Complete BS, the official podcast of couch coaches everywhere. Not just football. It's every sport that ruins your parlay, wrecks your fantasy week, and still brings you back for more. Buzzer beaters, blown leads, and brackets in flames. Yeah, we're all over it. Unfiltered takes, armchair analysis, and enough bold opinions to fill a playbook. Hosted by Brian Schmuck, sports junkie, the Saban of stats, and your official voice of, I could coach better than that. Let's go.
Couch Coach Nation. The opening round of the playoffs are in the books, and while there's still some debate on the G5 teams being included and the quality of the games, we got to move on. We're past that now. I'm sure the SEC is going to cry in the offseason and get the playoffs to bend their knee and make changes, so we'll talk about that in the offseason when it happens. I'm hoping we have some really good games moving on the rest of the way as we look to crown a national champion. Let's talk about what's already happened and jump into the opening round of the playoff games. Oklahoma. Alabama won this 34-24. This was the most entertaining game of the four, but I actually know some people who turned the game off when Oklahoma went up 17-0. Social media was flooded with folks talking about how bad Bama looked and they didn't deserve to be in there, and Alabama was done for. And then they came roaring back. That pick six before the half to tie the game was the turning point. Bama took all the momentum into the locker room and scored the first 10 points in the second half. OU, they had the Lou Groza Award winner, the top kicker in college football, but he had two big misses in the fourth quarter as OU tried to cut the lead from 10 points, and they couldn't convert anything. Alabama's now headed into the Rose Bowl to take on number one Indiana. AV, what did you see in this game?
You know, I didn't turn the game off when it was 17-0, but I did think it was probably over. So it was interesting to see Alabama score 27 unanswered points. I think Alabama goes as their offensive line goes. They can't run the ball well usually, but when they can find a little success running, they can't protect Simpson all that great sometimes, but when they do, he does well. And so their offensive line kind of took over. Their defense made some plays. Also, I think there was a little bit of a meltdown by Oklahoma. I think the pressure got to them and they turned the ball over. And like you said, the best kicker in the country missed a couple of kicks. Feel bad for him because I don't think those kicks make a difference. They weren't game winners, but he probably feels like he let them down. Like you said, the most entertaining game of the weekend.
We got Miami 10, Texas A&M 3. This was a flat-out boring game. It was scoreless in the first half. Miami missed 3 field goals on the day, so they could have routed A&M if they could have just been able to finish drives. The Miami defense shut down the A&M running game. Marcel Reed for A&M was their leading rusher at 27 yards. Mark Fletcher, on the other hand, for Miami, 17 carries, 172 yards. That's a 10.1 average. The last drive for Miami where they scored a touchdown to win the game, he had 75 yards. He did all the work on that drive, including a 56-yard run, except for the 11-yard touchdown pass. When Mark Fletcher runs well, Miami wins. Miami's going to face Ohio State next in the Cotton Bowl. AV, what do you think about the Canes?
I think the most surprising piece of the whole weekend was how dominant their defense looked against Texas A&M, because I've been big on Texas A&M this year, and a lot of it's the playmaking of Marcel Reed, Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion in the run game. And I'm not surprised that Miami slowed them down because Miami's talented on defense, but they shut them down. I mean, Texas A&M had trouble moving the ball, and that shocked me, but that's a recipe to win, run the ball and play defense for Miami. I think they have a chance against Ohio State, man, because I think it's going to be low scoring and a big play here or there could be the difference. I wouldn't pick them to win, but that's going to be, I think, a closer game than some people expect.
In a rematch of a game earlier this season, Ole Miss beat Tulane 41-10. Perhaps Lane Kiffin's only worth 4 points because Ole Miss won this game in the regular season 45-10. This was 41-3 late in the fourth quarter when Tulane got their lone touchdown. Tulane went up and down the field. They racked up yards close, but they couldn't finish a drive. They'd have a turnover, a punt, not convert on fourth down. Ole Miss, they finished drives. When they got the ball, they scored. That was the story of the game. Tulane went up and down the field, but then couldn't finish. They couldn't get over the hump. Ole Miss will have another rematch from the regular season in the Sugar Bowl, this time versus Georgia, who gave them their lone loss on the season.
Yeah, something feels different about Ole Miss without Kiffin there. With Kiffin there, I feel like they had a chance to win it all. Without him there, it just doesn't feel that way. That's probably not fair. That's just my feelings. But this was the game we spoke about last week where it was the game nobody really wanted. And it turned out that way, unfortunately. I have opinions, and we'll get into it in the offseason about the G5 being in the playoff. I'm glad they're there personally, but I can get into the reasons why. But unfortunately, you'll get games like this sometimes. And Tulane was outmatched. It's okay. Ole Miss took care of business. It'll be interesting to see what Ole Miss does against Georgia without Kiffin.
In the last game of the playoffs first round, we've got Oregon 51, James Madison 34. Oregon was up 34-6 at the half, with James Madison getting a field goal just before the half, but the game was over. Oregon shut it down in the second half. The most interesting part was that JMU's 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns cut the lead to 17, giving James Madison a cover. This line was 21 or 21 and a half, so James Madison actually covered their spread. I'm sure that was probably the most interesting part for those that had money on this game. Oregon's got Texas Tech next in the Orange Bowl.
James Madison's a good team, and they put up over 500 yards against Oregon. They're the only team to score over 30 points against Oregon all year, but it was garbage time. The game was over at halftime, like you said. Oregon handled business. There was a backdoor cover. If you have money on it, that's good, but I think Oregon is primed for a run in the playoffs. I don't know that they're the best team, so I don't know that I predict them to win, but their makeup, their mentality, the way Lanning has them playing at the end of the season, I think they are primed for another win or two.
Yeah, the Oregon-Texas Tech game in the next round is really interesting to me because you and I have both talked about how good we think Texas Tech is, and they could really make some noise. But Oregon, they're the best team, not with a bye. Obviously, the number 5 seed. This 4 versus 5 is going to be really interesting to watch, so I'm excited for that. AV, you got a game ball out of these 4 games?
Yes, I do. I think my game ball is going to go to Bryce Fitzgerald, the freshman defensive back out of Miami. He had 2 interceptions, including the game-sealing interception from the 2-yard line with just a few seconds left to put it away. He's a playmaker. He's going to be good for them, and he showed his presence in a big-time moment there.
My game ball, Alabama freshman Lazir Brooks brought in 5 catches and 79 yards with 2 touchdowns. He scored Alabama's first touchdown to get on the board, and then the go-ahead touchdown against Oklahoma. Lazir Brooks, freshman wide receiver from Alabama, you get a game ball. Let's get into some of the bowl games that we've got between now and the next round of the playoffs. We're going to start on Wednesday, Christmas Eve, the Hawaii Bowl, Cal versus Hawaii. Hawaii is a 1.5-point favorite. They've got a common opponent here where Hawaii beat San Diego State really bad, and Cal got shut out by them. This is a de facto home game for Hawaii. They're the favorites. They're going to have fans there, but I really like JKS, the Cal quarterback. I think he's the best player on the field, so I'm going to go with Cal in a small upset.
I'm going to go with Hawaii at home. I think Cal's going to treat it as a vacation. That Cal team is up and down. They can definitely beat a lot of teams, but then they look bad at times too. So I'm going to go with Hawaii at home.
On Friday, December 26th, the Rate Bowl, New Mexico versus Minnesota. New Mexico comes into this game on a 6-game winning streak. Both of these coaches should be on Michigan's short list. I can tell you that I think this will be the last chance to hire Jason Eck from New Mexico, because if Luke Fickell at Wisconsin doesn't turn it around, Jason Eck, a former Wisconsin offensive lineman, will be coaching the Badgers in 2027. You can tell I'm high on Eck, so give me New Mexico in a small upset. Minnesota's favored by 2.5.
I'll go with PJ Fleck, Minnesota. It's hard to tell in bowl games who shows up, who gets up, that kind of thing. But I like some of the players on Minnesota, and Fleck seems to get them up for these types of games.
First Responder Bowl is Florida International versus UTSA. Willie Simmons is another one of my favorite coaches in college football, and I love everything he's doing down there to build this program. But they've got 2 top corners opting out. They're in the transfer portal. I think they're going to be really vulnerable to the pass. UTSA, they've got the next generation of McNown quarterbacks in Owen McNown. They can pass the ball. I've got the UTSA Roadrunners in this one.
I agree. Give me UTSA in that offense. I agree also with Willie Simmons being a rising star.
Saturday, December 27th, the Military Bowl, Pitt -10 versus East Carolina. ECU's had a great season, but their quarterback's in the portal and opted out. They're not going to win this game. Give me Pitt.
Agree, give me Pitt. I think this one could be a blowout.
Penn State versus Clemson's a 3-point favorite. This is the woulda, shoulda bowl game. Preseason, this was a semifinal game, possibly a national championship game. The game already has a handful of opt-outs on both sides. That number could grow by the time we get to kickoff. Who really wants to show up and play this game? I think Clemson needs this game more. Penn State's already going to have a fresh start with a new coaching staff, but Clemson needs some momentum going into the offseason. I think the urgency and the need for Clemson in this game, they get it. I expect it to be an ugly game that Clemson pulls out.
Yep, you nailed it. These are the types of games that Dabo likes to brag about, how he beat Penn State and they just keep winning in bowl games and this and that. It does mean something to Clemson in all seriousness. I think Penn State just wants the season to be over.
The Pop-Tarts Bowl, Georgia Tech versus BYU. BYU's a 4.5-point favorite. This has all the makings of one of the best non-playoff games of the bowl season. These teams have not reported any opt-outs. I've been high on BYU all year. Their lone losses are to Texas Tech, who is really good. I'm riding with BYU.
Yep, BYU. I think Georgia Tech kind of limped across the finish line at the end of the year, and I think BYU's physicality will be able to slow down Haynes King in that running game, and I think BYU wins this.
The New Mexico Bowl, North Texas is a 3-point favorite over San Diego State. So far, there are no opt-outs, but North Texas running back Caleb Hawkins is dealing with an injury, and his status is uncertain. Keep an eye on that. San Diego State has a really talented running back in Lucky Sutton. North Texas, though, I feel that they're just a notch above San Diego State within the Group 5. I'll give you North Texas to win.
I'll take San Diego State in the upset, and I think North Texas has got a couple of people with their foot out the door, their quarterback included. If they show up and they're fully prepared, then North Texas should probably win, but I'm going to go with the upset there with San Diego State.
The Gator Bowl's got Virginia versus Missouri. Missouri's a 4-point favorite. Their quarterback, Bo Pribula, is in the portal and not going to play. They still have Ahmad Hardy, one of the best running backs in the country. Virginia's been balanced all year. They're going to counter it on the ground with Jamari Taylor. I think Virginia gets this win, which will be their first 11-win season in program history.
This is an interesting game. I think Missouri is probably the more physical and the better team, to be honest, but without their quarterback, I'm not sure. I'll ride with Tony Elliott and pick UVA, but I'm actually really interested to watch this game.
The Texas Bowl is LSU versus Houston. Houston's a 2.5-point favorite. LSU's really banged up and has numerous starters not playing. They really just want to close the book on this season. Houston, they're playing for a 10-win season and healthier. This game's also in Houston, so they should have some vocal fan support. Give me Houston to win, and I like the cover at only 2.5 points.
Yeah, flip a coin for me. I think the young players that might get a chance for LSU because the other starters are out are going to be hungry and flying around, and they're more athletic. Willie Fritz is a good coach. I guess I'll take Houston.
All right, let's get some picks out of the book club. AV, what do you got?
I got two games. We've talked about both of them already. One is Clemson -3. I think that's a small cover. We talked about it. Clemson wants to win this game. I know Dabo wants to win this game. I think Penn State just wants the season to be over. So I'm going to go with Clemson -3. I also think actually Clemson has more talent on the roster if you compare them side by side. The other game, I'm going to take Pitt -10 against East Carolina. There's a discrepancy at the line of scrimmage. There's a discrepancy at quarterback. Those are two pretty big things. I think if Pitt gets up and East Carolina tries to play from behind us, turnover city with their backup quarterback, I believe this could be a blowout, so I'm not afraid of the 10.
For my bonus pick, a game that we talked about and we were on opposite sides of, I'm going with the Hawaii Bowl. Cal as a 1.5-point underdog. This may as well be a pick'em. The best player on the field is Cal's quarterback, JKS. Take Cal in the money line. Don't even worry about the 1.5. This game opened with Cal as a 1.5 favorite. It's shifted now. Late money could shift this back to Cal. Go the money line. Don't worry about the points. Cal's got you. We'll be back after Christmas to preview the playoff quarterfinals. Join us at couchcoachnation.com, and you can follow the Complete BS Pod on X and Instagram. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to Complete BS. Be sure to subscribe, share, and follow us online. And tell us what you think of this episode. Use hashtag CouchCoachNation, and let's keep the conversation going.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.